Here's a quick video on locating and replacing the air filter on a 2.5 liter Volkswagen 5-cylinder engine. One of the quirky things about these engines is the actual location of the air filter. Cars typically have an air box located under the hood. It's usually in this area over here or wherever there's room in the engine bay, but they're usually a black plastic enclosure with some sort of lid typically, and the lid is usually retained by clips or screws. And inside that enclosure is the location of the air filter, usually a paper element. And typically that enclosure has some sort of ducting to like a source of cold air, usually in the grill area or down in the air dam or under the headlight, that sort of thing. So just for comparison, this is the Corrado that's sitting here in the shop. So this is the airbox for this particular car. So just a black plastic enclosure that's clipped together. There's a paper filter element in here. And in this car, it actually runs to the supercharger. But that's what I'm talking about. Most cars have something that looks like this sitting under the hood somewhere. This car is different, okay? In that it doesn't have the typical standalone air box, air filter enclosure. Right here on top of the engine, this is an engine cover. Very common nowadays in the automotive industry and typically purely cosmetic. Sometimes they have like sound deadening in them just to kind of suppress some of the engine noise, things like that. But typically a cosmetic ornamental plastic cover that is just kind of here to kind of clean up the look, the aesthetic of the engine bay. And, you know, typically you could pop them right off, throw them in the garage or whatever, and, you know, does not affect the function of the automobile. These cars are unique in that the engine cover is also the airbox enclosure or the air filter enclosure. It is the airbox. So I'm gonna show that really quickly and kind of step through where the air filter is, because it is somewhat unique. It's not a common design in the automotive industry. To remove the engine cover is attached via these like there's posts underneath the cover that are pressed into basically tight-fitting rubber grommets. So all you have to do to remove most engine covers is pull straight up on them, and those like posts slide out of the rubber grommets that are holding them tightly. You'll see this crack here in the cover. I guarantee, this was here when we bought the car, I guarantee someone grabbed right here and pulled up very hard to try to remove the cover and basically cracked the cover. So be careful when removing the cover on this automobile. You know, kind of work it. Again, usually you have to go straight up, not to an angle, things like that. What is unique about this is an air inlet, obviously, right? So you can see that there's like ductwork that comes in behind this grill here as a source of cold air. But you can see typically these go into your air boxes, but this kind of goes to the cover. So I gotta kind of keep note of that. One thing is the screws are already missing, but on these automobiles, there's usually two little Torx screws, I believe. I'm not sure if they're Torx or Phillips, that kind of attach this snorkel kind of piece to this. So this is already detached. So if yours is attached here, you have to remove those two screws. The next thing that's unique on this is there's this, again, this is the throttle body, and there's the air intake tract that goes back to this assembly, which is all, if you notice, it's all molded together and part of the engine cover. So this hose is clamped on. So if I were to try to remove this cover, this hose would kind of keep it attached. So that clamp needs to come off. And it's just a compression clamp. So I'm gonna come in here with a pair of pliers, compress the clamp, and slide it down the hose, okay? So that's all that was. And now I'm gonna grab the cover and pull up on it. And what should happen is it's gonna detach from here. It already is, because those screws weren't there. And then as I pull it up, I should be able to detach it from the hose that runs to the throttle body, which is located right here. So I'm going to gently pull up on the corner. So it popped up, you heard that. I'm gonna go back, this corner went up as well. I'm gonna come back here and gently pull up on it. Okay, so I think it's loose. So we're gonna carefully go up. There, that was the fourth corner. And then detach this hose. And you can see the whole cover is loose. So this is what I want to show you. This is more than just a cover, right? So if I flip it, quickly flip it, you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the cover and the air box. So this is that snorkel that attaches to the inlet behind the grill. The cold air runs through this tube, which is molded into the base of the cover, into this area, which is like this squared off area, and then out this tube, which goes to the throttle body, right? That's this hose here, right to the throttle body, into the intake manifold. So where the heck is the air filter? So this rectangular panel here is the air filter enclosure. If you look closely, there are a few Phillips head screws that seem to be keeping this attached. So we're going to remove these Phillips head screws and see what we find under this cover here. So I have the 5 screws loosened. They're backed way out, and you should be able to start pulling on them. And you'll see this cover separates, exposing the filter. So this is the filter element. So what you would do is just remove it, and you saw that, heard all that filth fall out of here. It's all leaves and debris. And you can see how dirty this filter is. What you would do is you take your new filter. I typically wipe out the box, make sure it's nice and clean. You would insert your new filter. Same thing, look, this is all sorts of debris here. So I would wipe out, tip it. When I tipped it, all sorts of debris came out of the track all the way to the inlet. To reassemble, it's pretty simple. You're just gonna pop your new filter element back into this piece, and then take these 4 black plastic tabs here and hook them onto the little barbs on the back. So this kind of hooks in here. Make sure you get all 4 of them. And then you're gonna kind of hinge this down and make sure all the holes align and it all pops back in. And then we're gonna tighten those 5 screws back up and reverse the installation. Flip it back over, connect the hose here, and then push the 4 grommets onto these posts. And I do want to show these. So these are the little posts that the rubber grommets in the cover slide right onto. And that is it. So it is kind of a little weird one in that the air box is built into the engine cover. And I just wanted to kind of show that because it could be a little intimidating, especially when you go try to remove that cover and see it's actually attached through this hose with this clamp right here. So that's it. Quick little video. Like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this.